is Nathan. I've been a patient at Dr. Henderson's for 8 years. So I got diagnosed in 2018, and then I smoked for like 20 years, but I was told that the smoke or drinking or whatever doesn't affect what I have because it's called adenoid cystic carcinoma. It's really rare, so probably like 0.01% of all cancer patients have what I have. So yeah, the smoking didn't affect it, I was told. So I came in to this office, had a routine cleaning in 2018, and then Veronica seen a large lump in the back of my mouth that I had never noticed before. And then she kind of was like, "What's this?" Gave me a mirror, and as soon as I seen it, immediately in my stomach, I knew what it was. But everyone here was kind of like cool about it. Then they kind of put me into the MRI section. They did an MRI, and then sent me to Dr. Baker's office to get to get the biopsy done. So I did that, and then I had to wait like a week for the results. So I knew in my head what it was, but I didn't know like actually the diagnosis. So I think that week waiting was probably the hardest part about having cancer, because I knew it was there, but I didn't know, you know what I mean? But the whole time, all I thought about were like my kids and like what's gonna happen. And you hear cancer and you think you're gonna die, right? There's no light at the end of the tunnel. So that's where my head was. So yeah, pretty freaked out. So I seen Dr. Baker, and then they called me in the office, told me what it was, about how rare it is. He said I kind of have two options. There's a doctor in UCLA that deals with it, and there's a doctor in Chicago that deals with it. So kind of gave me an option, but obviously I'm not gonna fly to Chicago. So I decided to go to UCLA, and then he sent me down there. I met Dr. Blackwell, who's a surgeon, and immediately he just basically told me we need to schedule surgery in 2 weeks. There was no option. There's like, you either have 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but we can't let it sit in your mouth any longer. And then I asked, how do we get rid of it? He said the only way is to remove it. So he'll put me under, and then they're gonna cut it out. He said I could wake up with nothing left on the top of my mouth. I could wake up with only 2 teeth missing. I could wake up with a small hole. So we did a impression of the roof of my mouth. Then they made like a prosthetic to just put up there after surgery. And then, so yeah, I went into surgery 2 weeks later, and then they removed 3/4 of the roof of my mouth with 5 teeth in the back. And yeah, it was that quick.
Wow.
So really like what it's been like since I've had it, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of not knowing. So I see the doctors and I have scans. First it was every 6 months, then they did every year for scans, but I still had to see the follow-up like every 3 months. They sent me to radiation for 37 rounds of radiation, and then that took a lot of filling out of my mouth. A lot of taste buds were gone. Kind of messed up my tongue a little bit, so sometimes my tongue gets swollen or it loses blood flow. They say it's from the radiation, but they don't know, you know? So really just mentally, I think it's been harder than physically, because you never know. Like every time I feel something, and even my oncologist will always say, if you feel something, you have to call us and tell us. You might think it's minor, right? But what I have will spread to anywhere in your head. So it's your head and your neck, and then from there it'll go to your lungs. So anything that I feel in my head or my neck, my throat, instantly I think, oh my God, it's the cancer, like it's coming back, right? So I call on my makeup appointment. He does scans, but ever since all my scans have came back clean. I have like a small nodule like in my lung, but he said it's probably from smoking. But yeah, it's just mentally harder than physically. But I did just have the reconstructive surgery, so they took the prosthetic out and then used my thigh. So they took my thigh and made that into the roof of my mouth, so now I don't have to remove anything, which I really enjoy, but I'm just getting used to it. So that was in October, and like my leg is taking more damage than my mouth now, so I'm just kind of getting used to that, just like back on my feet now. But yeah, just mentally it's harder than physically, basically. So really just do your follow-ups. Like, I always was afraid to get scanned for cancer because no one wants to get it, but I learned the sooner you get it, the sooner you can fix it, or the worse it's gonna get, you know what I mean? So don't be afraid to get scanned. Don't be afraid to tell the doctor there's something wrong. And if you do get it, it's like not the end, right? I've met so many people with cancer. I'm on all these online groups through like Facebook and all that stuff, and everyone shares stories. So the main thing is like, it's not a death sentence like I thought, you know, immediately you're dead, right? But it's not that. It's hard, but it's not as hard as people think, right? Radiation was extremely hard, right? But not as hard after it's all done, right? You just sit back and you're like, that really wasn't that bad. In the moment, you want to give up. I told my oncologist I want to quit twice. And I said, I can't do it no more. But he's probably heard that 1,000 times, right? So he talks to you, he helps you through it, and then just like, don't be afraid to go through the process, right? I think the biggest thing is your family. Like, as a patient, for me, as a patient, it's not that hard, but for like my friends and my family and like the people that care, I think it's way harder on them because in their minds, they don't really know how you feel inside, right? Inside, I know I can make it, right? I know it's not, my cancer doesn't go anywhere, so I'll have it for the rest of my life. So it's incurable, but I can live with it, right? And I know how my body feels. I know what I could take, but like my wife or my kids, they don't know. So they're always freaked out, you know? But I just try to comfort them and like always tell them I'm okay, you know? So yeah, just don't be afraid, man. Like, they screen you for cancer or whatever. If they feel something, people just want to say, no, I don't want to get checked up. Or no, that's nothing, that's always been there. But don't do that. Because if you do that, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. If I would have caught mine probably sooner, maybe it would have been smaller. Maybe they wouldn't have had to remove the whole top of my mouth. Maybe they just would have had to make a small hole. But I cleaning my teeth off for years. I never wanted to do it because I'm like, oh, my teeth don't feel bad, right? I don't have cavities, right? No big deal. But yeah, and that's just for me. But you know, like, I met people with prostate cancer, a lot of people with prostate cancer, and they were the same way. And they said the same thing. One guy waited years and he knew there was a problem, but he was just afraid to go, you know. But so just don't be afraid. So, yeah. So one big thing, probably the biggest thing in everything is don't look up your symptoms online. Don't go to WebMD. Every doctor is going to tell you the same thing. Don't look it up. I did, and I have a 3 to 5 year lifespan. That's what the online will tell you. So you instantly start freaking out. Tell your friends and family. Don't look it up. My daughters looked it up, found out I have a 3 to 5 year lifespan. I've had it for 5 years. They came crying in my room saying, you know, you lied to us and you're gonna die, but that's not the case. And every cancer is different. So, like with mine, I could have had it for 20 years already and didn't know about it, so I could already be a 20-year survivor. I don't know, so they can't trace that back. So just the biggest thing for real, and it's the hardest thing not to do, and probably everyone will do it, but don't just like try your hardest, just don't look it up, because it's everything online is all bad. Like, it's all bad. Listen to the doctor and don't listen to WebMD.